2023, Peter Obi alleges plot to arrest and put him in detention. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has raised the alarm, alleging plot to arrest and put him in detention ahead of the 2023 elections for speaking out against crude oil theft in Nigeria. Obi raised the alarm while speaking during an interactive session of an event organized by Oxford Africa Society, the umbrella body for all African students at the University of Oxford. Obi, who spoke on trends and prospects of Nigeria's economy, broader implications for Africa's development, disclosed that the ultimate plan is to silence him from talking about the menace of crude oil theft in Nigeria. The presidential hopeful has been vociferous about the stealing of Nigeria's crude oil amid dwindling revenue in the coffers of the government. He has accused people in the government of colluding with external influence to steal the country's crude oil, stressing that there is no way crude oil could be stolen from Nigeria without the authorities knowing about it. I have said it everywhere that oil in Nigeria is being stolen by people in the government. Nobody can steal oil. It is not sweet. You can go into a grocery shop and steal something and put it in your pocket and go away. You can't steal oil like that. For you to steal oil, a ship has to come into your territorial waters, load the oil, and no ship can go into a nation's territorial waters without the approval of its navy. When you load it, for you to leave, you have to have approval. And everybody knows where every ship is on the surface of the earth. It is something that is recorded. So if somebody is able to make or to take oil away, there is high level connivance between external and internal people who have organized for the oil to leave. So you can even trace the oil to where it is offloaded. So it is not an easy thing to steal. It can only be done officially, and that is it, Peter Obi said at the event held on Friday. He went further. Again, it is worrisome because if you think of the amount of money that we are losing when we need, again, look at our exchange rate. We need every dime. We are losing huge amounts of money, even when all the money won't come to us. I always tell people about what happened in July and August. We are operating at a high level of budgetary deficit. Between January 1st of this year and about 30th of April, first 4 months, our revenue was in the region of about 1.6 trillion, and we say expenditure was about 4.6 trillion. So we had a deficit of almost 3.13 trillion in terms of naira. But in 2 months, we almost lost 2.83 trillion. In July, our oil production was on average 1,103,000. Our quota is 1.8 million. So every day we lost 717,000 barrels. That is what we didn't produce. So if you check it in 1 month, it was about 22,227,000 barrels. At the average price of $110 in July, it was $2.445 billion. If you multiply that with 550, I do not want to use the official rate. It gives you about, okay, these are unpronounceable numbers, but this is what we lost in 1 month in July. In August, that situation was the worst. We were producing 979,000 and we were losing 825,000 every day. That's barrels. Multiply by another 1 month, we lost about 25 million barrels in August. At average price of $100, that is $2.5 billion lost. Again, multiply that by 555, that is about 1.4 trillion. So if you put these two together, in 2 months, you lost about 2.8 trillion. You had a deficit of 3.1 trillion in 4 months. Aggressively, we are supposed to pursue this, and considering that we need every dollar now. That is why I said it's official stealing, because if it is not official stealing, we have 200 million in population. We have about 60% of the youth in unemployment, which is about 20 million youths who do not know where the next meal will come. It is not pipeline. We go and stand everybody on the line there and make sure that nobody takes 1 barrel of it. I am prepared to go and stand on the line, all of us, because this is the only resource that we have. But because people who are in government, they are stealing it, they will not want to. And when you say it, everybody is looking for a way to put Peter Obi in detention because this man is causing trouble. his words. Since we know this thing is missing, let all of us go and man the pipeline. Is it no pipeline? If we stand there, who will take it? If they do not want us to do it because people know those who are taking it, so it is very easy. So of course, given the title of the article it is very misleading because you'd expect the content majorly to be about how he's being targeted, but really it was towards the end of his statement then he mentioned about being in detention and him being watched because of what he's saying, because literally he is the presidential candidate, he's been in the space, so he's mentioning all these things. But one thing we can find, especially in the comment section, is everyone is asking, well, mention their names. He has literally given us, the statistics and the numbers, and that alone is enough to trigger any caring Nigerian to understand and say, well, wait a minute, this has to stop. Well, first comment, false alarm is Obi's claim of arrest plan. We agree that there are thieves around stealing the oil. Obi should name anyone he knows so that prosecution can take place. But can he really? Because he's still in the same space, and obviously he's been in the political space for 20 years. So I do know that, okay, fine, he wants to achieve change, but he's also got to be strategic because his colleagues are not necessarily his friends. It is not only that have spoken about the oil theft going on, so why targeting only you? And it's not like as if you've even mentioned any names aside general statement. But the thing is, again, I think it just takes research, because again, you're stealing oil in barrels and ships coming in. It's not like you're stealing sweets in a grocery shop. And he made that, he explained it pretty much well and really made it as descriptive as possible and easy to understand. So really, stealing of oil cannot go undocumented. It doesn't make sense. And even if, yes, the real numbers of what's been stolen is undocumented, just disparities in numbers and just being, as he said, in a budgetary deficit, which is not unlikely given, Nigeria is owing so much to different industries abroad that have their bases in Nigeria. They're owing so much. So when it comes to deficit and Nigeria, these are not necessarily two. They're not they really do correspond. They're not alien terms when it comes to associating the two together. So yeah, well, confession before election, okay. Look at his calculations. Atiku and Tinubu cannot calculate. In fact, Obi is too much. Well, he's not necessarily on their side. You wouldn't necessarily say Atiku and Tinubu are not beneficiaries of all this that we're talking about, but really, the calculations, again, these are very big numbers. The more he continues, the more we are getting into the zeros and zeros and zeros, triple zeros, it's not the best thing. But put what you think about it in the comment section below, and do not forget to like and subscribe.